Welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. As well as my friends over at Yarnspirations.com. Today I'm going to take you through this Peyton's Decor pattern. This is using beautiful cable work that you see within the Afghan. There's also a matching pillow if you'd like to do that as well. Today I'm going to be concentrating on how to do the panel work in order to get that done, and you can do the pillow and just finish that off if you want to as well, because the same design that is in the Afghan is also in the pillow. You just got to look at the instructions because there's a few more steps than for the pillow. So what we have here is two different panels, and you have to do them at multiple of times in order to get it up, and then you're gonna whip stitch them together to complete your entire Afghan. It's using Peyton's Decor yarn with a recommended ball or hook size of 5.5mm size eye. Now I don't have Peyton's Decor in stock, so I'm gonna be using Caron 1 pound yarn today in order to complete this. So there is panel A and panel B, and we're gonna be covering both of those here today. So let's take a look at the Afghan and let's determine what we're looking at. So the panel A is this one here, and there's 3 of those in order to make that. So it's kind of like a really relaxed lattice work that you see. And then we have panel B, which is the cabling work that you see here, and it's really quite easy, and there's 4 of those. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So once you have all 7 of these done, you're gonna whip stitch them together. So just grabbing some yarn and just sewing them together to make it complete, and then you do the final border. The final border has 4 rounds in it, and we'll be covering that at the end of today's tutorial. So I have drawn for myself a crochet diagram, and we're gonna start off with panel A first, and then we'll progress to panel B in a little bit. So here's my rough diagram. I always like doing diagram work, especially when doing tutorials, because this will be off the screen that you cannot see, and I'm looking at it as I'm crocheting along. So we're gonna get ourselves started, and there is a total of 23 stitches all the way across. So we're gonna be chaining a total of 25 to start, and then there will be 23 stitches then that goes across. So this is a foundation row. This is not row number 1. So row number 1 starts in the next one here when we start doing the work that you see. So I always have to look up what these symbols are. So we start off with the front posts, and those are what we can see on the very edge of this panel, and then you'll see that the lattice work then picks up, and you'll see that it progresses and it gets more and more narrow. So I didn't bother to draw any more of this diagram here, because these front posts and back posts that you see coming up, they follow all the way up through it, the whole thing. So it was easy for me to remember, and what I need to keep in count, and is really for this particular idea. So you'll notice that when you're looking at it here, I do it for myself, but I start off, and then you see the number 11 here. So there's 11 double crochets before you do another cluster like we're gonna show you, and then the next round there's 9, and then there's 7 and 5 and 3 and 1. Once you get all the way to number 7, then let's just move this down, is that we have to then go backwards. So then we look at number 6. So number 8 equals 6, and then 9 equals 5, and you can see that it's gonna progress, and you're just gonna follow the instructions, and it will just simply just grow back out. And then once you get to number 12, that's it of the repeat pattern, and then you start all the way from 1 to 12 again, and keep doing 1 through 12 until there's 54 inches. At the very final one that you have, omit the turning chain at the end. So one of the things about this pattern is really quite old, but it ends each one with the chain 3 and then turn. I like to do my chain 3 at the beginning of each one, and you'll notice that in today's tutorial. So my goal here is to get you started and show you how to do 1 through 12, and then we're gonna carry on, and I'll leave that for you, and then we'll move on to the next panel. So let's grab our 5.5mm size eye crochet hook and some yarn to play with today. So let's begin with our yarn, and let's now chain 25 to begin, and this is considered an intermediate level, so I'm not gonna go through the basics of crochet in this one today. So remember that never counts as 1, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and go all the way to 25 for me. Meet me back here in just a moment. Okay, now that I have my 25 on here, I'm gonna progress now through the foundation row. So this is not row number 1, and I want you to count back to the 4th stitch. So just count back. So 1, 2, 3, and turn it over and get the 4th one. So get the back hump of the 4th one away, and you are going to double crochet in the back hump of that one, plus the back hump of each one of the chains going all the way down. If your math is right, there will be a total of 23 stitches all the way across. Make sure that count is accurate, and meet me at the end of this chain, and then we'll begin to go through 1 through 12 with you on camera. So I've now come all the way across. I have verified that I have 23 stitches all the way across. This does not count as number 1. This is a foundation row. In the instructions it says to chain 3 and then turn. What I'm going to do for you today though, I'm going to just stop, and then when I progress up a new row, I'm just going to get myself started. So I'm just gonna turn, and then let's go to the instructions real quick, and then we'll be right back to begin. So as we begin in the diagram, we're now going to progress up to number 1 and we're going to chain 3 to start. And then the first one here is a front post, and I have an FP so I can see that here. And then the next one is a double crochet and then a front post again, and then a double crochet, and then we're going to do a cluster here, and then there will be 11 in a row for double crochet, and then a cluster, double crochet, front post again, double crochet, front post again, and then double crochet at the end. So once we get this established, we're gonna just really kind of keep an eye on that, because really once we understand where this cluster is, the next ones are just one step in, and then we just start eliminating stitches in the middle and start growing out the number of stitches that exist between the cluster and where the front posts are on this side. Let's begin row number 1. So this is row number 1. You'll come back to the spot if you're following the tutorial and you need it for the future. So the first one is going to be a chain 3 that counts as a double crochet, and now the next one here is going to be a front post treble. So wrap the hook twice and then going into the side of the post and out to the other side. Okay, so in the side of the post and out the other, and then pull through and then pull through 2 all the way back up to the top. The next stitch is a double crochet, and then the next stitch after that is another front post treble. So just wrap the hook and come into the next one and go in there. And then the next one after that is a double crochet, and then we're gonna begin the cluster work. So it's a front post cluster all within the same one right here. So there's a total of 3 of them all together. So you're just gonna wrap the hook twice and going into the side, and then you're just gonna insert in, pull through, and watch how we finish it. So we pull through 2 and 2 and hold it, and I need you to do that twice more. So wrap the hook again into the side, pull through 2 and 2 and hold it so you don't finish it all the way, and then wrap again and then in, pull through 2 and 2 and hold it. You should have a total of 4 loops on the hook, and we will review this again throughout this tutorial today, and then you're gonna pull through all 4 loops, and then that's done. So the very next stitch, okay, so you'll see that this is covering in front of this stitch here. That's the post of what we're working on. So we immediately come to the next one and we're gonna double crochet into that one and 10 more. So there's gonna be a total of 11 double crochets in a row. So let's count that already as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, so there's going to be 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now we're going to do that cluster all over again. So we're just going to wrap twice and coming into the next post, pull through 2 and 2 and hold, and then wrap it again twice in the same one. So you do that total of 3 times again. Okay, and how many loops are you looking for at the end? You're looking for 4 loops left on your hook, and there is my 4. So pull through all of them, and now the next one, okay, so that post that you're around is this one right here. So you want to ignore that one, go to the next one and double crochet, and the next one after that is a front post treble. So wrap the hook twice, coming into the next one. It's a front post treble. The next one is a double crochet, and then the next one is a front post treble, and then finally at the last turning chain, go right into the chain itself, not to a space, and double crochet. So we've now just established the posts that are on each side, and now we've established where the clusters are. So when we move up with the clusters, we're gonna be moving one in from each of these, and then it'll get more and more narrow as we work our way across. Let's move up now to row number 2. So let's work our way to row number 2. Let's turn our work and chain 3 to begin. So 1, 2, 3. So now this is the back side. So this is the wrong side of the project. So we know that this one here, and it'll become more evident the more you grow it, is the post work. So we want to keep that post working on this side again. So we don't come into the front side this time. We just wrap the hook and use that and go into the back side. So the back post of that post, and then just treble as normal, and that will keep the ridge going up on the same side. So the next one is a double crochet, and then the next one is a back post treble. So there it is there. So wrapping the hook twice and going into the post and keeping that so it stays up on the other side. So we know that we have to double crochet in the next one, and we can see that the cluster is in the next one, but we don't want to cluster into that same one. So we want to add another double crochet there just to shift ourselves over, and now this one here is where we're gonna play. But because we're looking at the back side of the project, we need to do the cluster on the other side. So wrap the hook twice and coming into the back post, and you are going to complete it as you normally would, but on the back post. So wrapping twice and then going in. We try that again. It's a little awkward at first, I would think, and then I'm gonna get used to it, just a matter of time. And then you make sure you don't finish it until you have a total of 4 loops on the hook. So pull through 2 and 2 and hold. Now you have your 4, so pull through all 4, and now that's done, and you immediately jump to the next double crochet. And this one here, there's gonna be a total of 9 double crochets in a row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is 7, 8, and 9. Now here's the trick. The next one here is the last one before you hit this cluster, and that's where we're going to put this cluster in. So wrapping twice, going into the back post to start that, and that's your new clustering going in there. So do you really need to count going all the way across? Maybe if you want to verify, but I don't think you need to. As long as you can physically see where you are, then I think that you can get away with that and not have to excessively count, making it a lot easier for you to be able to watch TV or be distracted. Once you have your 4 loops, pull through all 4 and then go to your next one. Okay, so this one here, that post, is where we just were playing, so we want to go to the next one and double crochet until we see the front post sections that we had on this side. So we happen to know that there's 2 in a row anyway, but if you don't know that, you just look for it. Okay, so there is the front post there, so we want to keep those as the front post, so you have to access them from the back post. It's all about understanding if you're working on the right side or the wrong side when you're working with this, and once you understand that, it's really quite simple. And then you double crochet in the final. So let's turn it around and look at our work. So we've now just completed row number 2. So you can see that the clustering is starting now to start to edge in, and it's really quite easy. So let's begin row number 3. So just chain up 3 to begin, and you can see your front posts are happening now. So you just make those as a front post treble. So keep them on this side. So I think that doing it from the front is a lot easier and probably quicker for you. And you just maintain that. Those lines go all the way up throughout the entire panel. So those will always be in the same position. Now what the trick is that when you move on, you'll see that there is the cluster here. So we just keep double crocheting until we get to the one after the cluster. But if you looked at the instructions, it was said there would have been 3 in a row. So the next one here is the next one after the cluster, and now because we're working on the right side, the good side, you want to keep that cluster on the front side, so you access it from the front post. Okay, and then that counts as that post that you're on, so you immediately jump to the next one, and there should be technically 7 stitches because I looked up at my sheet to see that, but I'm not really gonna count it because I haven't started yet, and I'm gonna look for when the next one pops up, and then I'm gonna just double check myself. So I believe the next one is the next cluster. So let's count how many stitches I just did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm right. So if you can just look for these telltale signs of where you need to go, I think you can avoid the excessive counting. So what I would like you to do is just finish this row. This is row number 3, and just carry on. And what I'm going to do then is that I'm going to review with you the starting of each row, and then I'm gonna physically do it so that I have it here. But if you can see where these clusters are going, that's pretty much the hardest part of this whole thing. And that's not saying much because it really isn't that hard once you got your pattern established. So let's finish up now row number 3 together, and we'll kick you off in number 4. Just quickly talk about it, and then I'll do it, and then we'll meet back once again. So that was row number 3. Okay, let's begin row number 4. Turn our work, chain up 3, and you're back on the wrong side again. So you just have to look for where these are. You can feel them actually with your fingers too. And so you're going to do your back post trebles there to keep them on the other side. When you get to the cluster area, you're just gonna go to the one stitch after it. So here's the cluster. I'm gonna go to this stitch, and here's the cluster. I'm gonna go to this stitch to apply it, and there should be a total of 5 in a row on the inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you just keep double crocheting until you hit the post on the other side, and this would be row number 4. So please do that now, and I'll see you at the end of row number 4. So I finished up row number 4, and now I'm moving on to row number 5. So we're starting up again, just chain up 3 and look for your front post that you have, and then look for the one after the original cluster here, and so it'll be this one, and then look for the one before this one right here, leaving 3 in the middle for double crochets, and then the rest are double crochet until you get to these posts on the other side. So please complete row number 5. I'm just completing row number 5. You can see that it's gotten even closer, and now we're gonna turn our work, and again what we already know. So I see the clusters are right here, right in the middle. So the new clusters are gonna be the one after and the one after that, leaving one in between that's just a double crochet, and then you're gonna do the regular post that you normally have to keep that coming up on the back end here. Please do row number 6 now. So I'm just finishing up row number 6. So I'm gonna turn. So I have one more stitch that's left in the middle, so that'll be the very last cluster to go in here. So it'll be double crochets all the way to that point. There's only one cluster in this row, and you can see everything's working out really quite beautifully here. So I'm gonna start off then row number 7 as normal, and then just one cluster right in the middle, and then that's it, and then it starts to then grow outward then as we go. So let's begin row number 7. So row number 7 is now complete. So we're gonna turn. So essentially now going to look for the center one, which you can see it here on this side. Let's turn it around. So we have we're looking at the wrong side right now. So the middle one now is the one that we want to put in a double crochet, and now we're gonna look to the one on either side. So we're just gonna expand ourselves now going back out, and you're just gonna maintain the edges. So let's begin row number 8, and this is the same instruction as row number 6. So essentially see where these two are? These two will appear again up here to be able to go outward. Let's begin row number 8. So I'm finishing up row number 8. Let's turn our work, and now you can see that it's starting to grow back out. So row number 9, we're then going to continue. You really can see it now, so that you're gonna start the one before to put the cluster, and then the one after then to go outward. So let's begin row number 9. Okay, row number 9 is done. You can see it's further, so coming back to the back side here, we look for the clusters, and we're gonna go to the one after that. So this is row number 10. So let's just chain up 3 and begin again for row number 10. So I'm finishing up row number 10. So number 11, we're just gonna get even further out from the center, and let's begin row number 11. So chain up 3 again, and let's begin. So I'm finishing up row number 11, and now I'm gonna move to number 12. You should notice that there is 3 stitches left over before you hit this between the cluster, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, well, this kinda doesn't make any sense, and the reality is it will. So number 12 is the final of the repeat. So number 12 is not fully back to where it started down here. So this is row number 1, which we will complete after we get the repeat pattern of 12 done. So we're just going to then start number 12 here. You're gonna chain 3 and begin, and I will explain more in just a moment. So I just finished up row number 12. So let's just quickly zoom out here, and let's review where we are. So we did repeat pattern now 1 through 12. Now when you go to start again 1 through 12 again, the first one is gonna be furthest out like this. So it's actually gonna be the final stitch here. So you notice that there's 2 here. So when you go to crochet, you'll be in this one here, which gives you that one spacing that you need, that you had down here. Hopefully that makes sense for you. So all you just need to do is just kind of fluff it up a little bit, and you see the texture is really coming out nicely. So if you can identify the stitch work of going in and out, this panel is actually pretty easy to deal with. The other panels I'd think is even easier than this. There's not a lot of thought to it, and it's a repeat pattern of only 4 rows to go. So you want to continue to repeat this over and over and over until you get to 54 inches, and then you're gonna fasten off. The instructions say to omit the final chain 3. The chain 3 is the final instruction of a row. It says to chain 3 then turn. It's just telling you to ignore that and just finish it off without doing chain 3 at the end. So you're just gonna continue to repeat that until there's 54 inches, and then that's good to go. So let's begin to move on to the second panel that appears in this diagram, or even in this pattern. In panel number 2 we are going to do cabling work, and it's consisting of rows number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now rows number 2 and 4, they are the exact same thing that we're going to be doing, and we'll have to pay attention to what's on the front side and what's on the back, so the right side and the wrong side when we're doing that. So really essentially number 3 is when it crisscrosses over to create the cabling work of the cables looking like they're weaving in and out of each other. So we're gonna get ourselves started. We're going to chain ourselves a certain amount here. I just have to refer to that, but there's a total of 19 stitches across, and that's good to go. So there's actually a chaining of 21 to begin, and then we're going to then continue along. So the foundation row doesn't count, and row number 1 starts when we start doing the cabling. So using the same size crochet hook, a 5.5mm size eye crochet hook, you can use your Payton's Decor, but I'm using Caron 1 pound for an example today. So what I want to do is that I want to chain a total of 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get your 21 done. Meet me back here in just a moment. Now that I have my 21 done, it's slightly smaller widthwise than the other panel, so you'll notice that it will go pretty quick. So you're gonna go 4 chain from the hook, so count it back. So 1, 2, 3, go to the 4th, go to the back hump of the chain and just double crochet in that one, and then continue to in the back hump just double crochet all the way to the other side. You should be able to verify that there's 19 stitches all the way across. This is the foundation row, so it doesn't, it's not counted as row number 1, and please do that all the way across for your starting. So once you come all the way back across, it says to turn chain 3 and then turn. For tutorial purposes I always do it at the front end of a row, and I never do it at the back end, so I'll be doing that today. I want to take you back to the diagram. I want to show you what you're looking for, and then you're going to continue then rows through 1 through 4 with me together. So as we begin the diagram, you're going to notice that 2 stitches on the outside are going to be just regular double crochets, whether it's a turning chain or a double crochet going in. The next 6 in a row are your cabling, and then 3 in the middle are just double crochets that stand alone, and then the next 6 are your cabling, and then you can see that this is working in like in pairs. So you got 2, 6, 3, 6, and 2. So that's kind of what our goals are. So once we establish where our cables are in the next round, our row, what we can do is we can build from that, and then it gets really quite easy to follow. Okay, so you're ready? You're gonna chain up 3, counts as a double crochet, and you're gonna double crochet in the next one. Now the next 6 in a row, there's to be a front post treble, so wrap the hook twice and then coming into the side of the post and out the other, and we want to make that a front post treble. So wrap the hook twice and keep doing that. So let's do 6 of those in a row. If this is your second panel with us here on the camera, you already know how to do your trebles, so you just got to do it. Okay, so I'm looking for the number of 6, and that will get me started. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now in the middle that separates the cabling is that the next 3 are just double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3, and now the next 6 are trebles again, front post trebles. So keep those on this side. So when we turn our work, we're gonna be working with the wrong side next, which we have to maintain these cabling on this side of the project. This is the right side of the project, meaning it's the side that it's a good side. So if you're looking at the Afghan that's lying on a bed, this is the side that you're looking at. So you're doing 6 in a row. Let's count those together. Should be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I knew that because I could only see 2 left. And the very final 2 will be 1 double crochet. Make sure you go into a turning chain. Don't ever go into a gapping space, because then it'll open it completely up. So that was row number 1 of 4. So you can see it's kind of lifting off. Let's begin row number 2. Turn the work, And in row number 2 we're gonna match exactly what we see, but instead of doing the front post trebles we're gonna do back post trebles to keep that work on the good side. So this is row number 2. Chain up 3 to begin. That's your first double crochet in the next. So the next 6 in a row are each back post trebles, and this will keep that stitch work lifting off on the good side of the project. So let's do 6 in a row. So I want to verify my count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the middle 3 will each be a double crochet. And now the next 6, you can see that's kind of lifting off towards the back, will be a back post treble once again. So this is row number 2 of 4, and it's really an easy pattern to be able to follow. A lot of people get intimidated with the cables, but the reality is that they're really not hard if you, as long as you don't look at the whole project as a whole. You just look at it row by row and it will seem to make sense as you're crocheting it. I used to be really scared of them at one time. Okay, so there is my 6 in a row, and I can tell because I got 2 stitches left, and you're gonna double crochet in the final 2. Make sure you go into the turning chain, not to a gap space. And let's turn our work, and you can start kind of see that the cables are kind of lifting a bit. So let's begin row number 3. So let's begin row number 3. So what we are looking at is that I've already chained my 3. Don't worry about my strands hanging off. I had to do an outtake on this one. So what I have here is that we have 6 in a row. We're gonna do a crisscross with those. Then the middle 3, the middle one is going to be a bobble, and then the next 3 are gonna, our next 6 are gonna crisscross, and then the final 2. So let's, without further ado, let's begin. So I've already chained 3, counts as my first double crochet, and I'm gonna double crochet in the next one. So we're going to do a crisscross. So we have 6 in a row that you are standing off. We want to go for the 4th one, so we're gonna wrap the hook and go from the front post and over, and we keep on doing that until we get 3 done in a row. You'll notice that they will lean over because that's what they're supposed to do. Now the other 3 that you skipped, we're gonna come back to the very first one of the grouping of those, and we're gonna do those as a front post treble as well. And what this is doing is it's changing the order of these stitches so that they crisscross to get the cable look. Okay, so the 6 just got crisscrossed. Now we're gonna double crochet in the next one, and then we're gonna do a bobble. I honestly think it's called a popcorn in today's terminology. It's an old pattern. So there's 5 double crochets in the next one. So let's just do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then just let it go. So now that you have your 5, you go to the first one of the grouping of 5, insert your hook in and pull that through, and that'll make that pop out, and then you're going to double crochet in the next one. So those are your middle 3 that are done. So now the next 6 here, you're gonna crisscross them. So wrap the hook twice, go into the 4th one, and just do what you already know. So once you get the first grouping of 3 in, come back and get the other 3 that you've skipped. So just starting at the furthest one away. So this is row number 3. So the only difference really in row number 3 is the crisscrossing and the bobble right in the center, and then we'll begin the bobbles again next time we hit this particular number of rows. So this is the 3rd one up. So once you have that one done, the final 2 is just a double crochet. Finally, row number 4 is the repeat pattern. So you're gonna turn your work, and now it's just a really easy one. So you're just gonna chain up 3 to begin, and it's a double crochet in the first one. So all of these ones that are crisscrossed are each a back post treble. So just starting in the very first one, if you have to manipulate it to get it, you'll notice that the cable work provides tension. That's intentional because that's what cable work does. And so you just work equally across, getting them in the right sequence. And they're already in the right sequence. You just gotta make sure you grab them by the right sequence and don't skip any. And so you get the first three that I've just grabbed, and now these three are the next ones up. You may have to manipulate it with your fingers to pull it out if it's hiding. That's just normal for cabling. And then finally in the middle, so there's technically only 3 stitches there, so you want to maintain the 3 stitches. So each one has a double crochet in it, and then that brings it back to normal for the normal count, and then the next 3 in a row are back post trebles. So all you just need to do is repeat rows number 1 through 4 until your work gets a total of 54 inches long, and that's the same distance as the other panel that you're working on, so that you can sew them together with the whip stitch when you're ready for that particular process. It's easier to do Afghans like this when they are in panels versus doing them as a complete set. But of course if you can figure that out, all the power to you. Okay, so the last 2 stitches are just 1 double crochet each, and let's turn it and see what we've got ourselves into. So this is the finishing of row number 4. So you can see that we have this now complete. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So we go back and do number 1, so it's a front post treble again on the 6th, and then we do number 2, which is a back post treble on these 6 here, and then we do number 3 where we crisscross and we do a bobble right in the middle, and then we do number 4 then, which was a back post treble in order to get it, and you will see that it will crisscross. And when you look at the particular pattern that we have, which is off camera here, if I pull it up, you can see that this kind of idea really works its way and does its magic all the way up within these pillows and the Afghan that you see, and I think it's really quite awesome. So we're gonna move on to the border. It's really quite a simple border. You can decide what works for you on that particular process, and if you want to make up something even for yourself, that you're okay to do that too. So eventually you're going to have your Afghan completely assembled. All of the panels are together, and now you're gonna go all the way around. So there's 4 rounds to do it. The first one here, you want to go right into a corner over here, and then just equally spaced. So on the ends like this, you're just gonna go one into each one, equally spaced all the way around. And then when you come around to the sides of the project, you're just gonna equally space going into the chain work. Never go into like a gapping space, because that'll open it up. Always stay within the chain work, and you're just going to single crochet. In the corners there will always be 3 single crochets in order to do that turn. Once you get that done, you're gonna chain up 3, and the next one, which is the middle, there will be 3 double crochets applied into there, and then you're gonna put double crochet for the next 2, and then a bobble into the next. So what is a bobble? Let me look that up. So the bobbling is what we already know, is that we're going to apply 5 double crochets into the same stitch, drop the loop, pick up the loop, and then carry it, like pull it through, and then the next 5 in a row are just double crochets and then a bobble. In the corners you will apply 3 double crochets, and then you come back around and equally space these bobbles out between 5 after 5 double crochets. The next one is that you're gonna chain up 1 and then 1 double crochet around each stitch all the way around. Don't worry about the corners. And then the very final one, this is called the reverse single crochet. So you're gonna chain up 1 and then come all the way back to the other, going back in the other direction, going a reverse single crochet. It's also called a crab stitch, and then that's it for your entire border. So without further ado, I think that's it for today. Have a great day. We hope that you enjoy your Afghan.